Hey guys, welcome to Tuesday's video. If you know anything about me in these videos, you probably know I only video one time and I'm done. I don't have time to edit, just don't. And this is probably my 8th take because my phone keeps shutting down. And today I am talking about anger. So fitting, right? Also, I dressed for the part. Doesn't this print represent anger well? Just kidding, I didn't plan that, I just thought about that. So, yep, we're talking about anger. It's a very big, powerful emotion. And we all deal with it, even if you think you don't have a temper, you still deal with anger. Here's the thing about anger. If it's constantly displayed, we're losing friends and connections. But if we never release it, boy, that is a pressure cooker of danger right there. In fact, if you are a person who stuffs down your emotions, and in particular, your anger, I'm gonna bet that you deal with constant or reoccurring physical ailments or illnesses. A lot of times it manifests itself that way when we don't deal with our emotions that are destructive, but in particular, anger. Like a fire, our temper, our anger can be dangerous and it can be devastatingly destructive. But also like fire, it can be controlled. And we always have a choice. The idea isn't to rid ourselves of anger. That's ridiculous. We're human beings and it's just not possible. The goal is to express it in a productive, healthy, controlled way. There is so much on this topic that I really want to encourage you to join me for the live this week, because I want to really dig deep into this, and this one is such a big emotion and there's so much information out there that I want to share with you and I want us to talk about. When it comes to our anger, we got to know what's fueling it. So, are you feeling a lack of control? If you look at young children, toddlers especially, you'll see them act in anger because they don't feel like they have control. And the funny thing is we carry that into adulthood. Are you fearful of something? When we have fear, a lot of times it triggers an anger response. Have you ever watched one of those funny videos where somebody jumps out at somebody and scares them and the first thing they do is punch them in the face? Because they're like, why'd you do that? Don't scare me. Fear will so often promote anger. Is there injustice? This is where I would say it's righteous anger, because we see something happening to someone else or the system is broken, and so it creates anger because we think it needs to be fixed. This one's a good one because a lot of times it can fuel action. Are you anxious? Anxiety can so often produce a fight or flight reaction. So you have to ask, am I feeling anxious over something, and instead of fleeing, I want to fight it? What's creating my anxiety? The most important thing we have to remember is that relationships are what are key and what we have to protect. So I want to give you a few ways in dealing with our anger. So the first one, I know you hear people say count to 10. Well, I know for me that when I'm in the middle of it, it's usually because of my kids. I'm not thinking about counting to 10. I usually have to walk away. But the biggest thing that we can do is to take three big breaths. 3 big breaths. That signals the brain to chill out and let's be rational. Okay? 3 big breaths. If you can't get away from the situation right away, but you're still feeling anger, I want to encourage you, try to go towards something that brings you joy, immediate joy. So it might be something like turning on music that you like or that is calming. Maybe it's going for a brisk walk because you need to escape, or running. I know people who go running because they're mad. Maybe listening to a funny podcast or Coke Zero. That brings joy. Do something short and sweet as quickly as possible when you're feeling angry. Also, to help if you struggle with anger kind of on a regular basis, I really want to encourage you, maybe look into yoga and meditation. I know people laugh, but it really works. This is something that I've been incorporating into my own life just for the need for peace and calmness, and I am seeing a difference. When we stop and take a break, it gives us the ability to release the things that our mind is holding on to. And then when we get into tight situations or anxious situations, that calmness is already there. We're not working on an empty tank and our mind is not overwhelmed. So yoga and meditation is really good. Now this next one is a little tricky, but it does tend to work. Humor. Humor releases tension almost immediately. But if you're not good at it, maybe stay away from this one. Also, know your audience, especially if you're trying to use humor to de-escalate someone else. But never sarcasm. Sarcasm is like throwing water on a grease fire. Stay away from sarcasm. I mean, think about with your kids. If you've ever been around kids and they're being all up in their feelings and you start being funny, it snaps them out of it. Humor works really well in the family situations with your spouse or with your kids because we tend to know each other pretty well and we know what our funny points are. But if you don't know somebody, maybe be real careful around that one. If you struggle with anger on a regular basis or often, this is me telling you, you need to get some help because it is dangerous and it's destructive, not just to you, but everyone around you. So if this is something you feel like, you know what, a lot during the week, maybe not every day, but multiple times a week, I'm having blowouts of anger. Didn't mean to use that, blowout. Maybe talk to somebody. So tune in Thursday for our live and let's talk about this and dig into it deeper and unpack it, because we all deal with it, whether you're passive aggressive, or whether you're aggressive. You passive and aggressive people and you passive people, you tend to think, well, I just don't really have a temper and I think I'm okay on anger. Let me tell you something, you do. You just, it shows differently for you. We all deal with it. So join me on Thursday, come to the table, we'll unpack this a little bit more. See you guys.